What is grass good for? Well, it stabilizes your soil so that it doesn't wash out. And you can make it very decorative and it can be all pretty. But the reality is that the average grass in a yard is pretty much a water hog. And that's really all it's good for, is just sucking water down. Unless you turn the grass to your favor. I am not a fan of grass. When it comes to just having a yard, I'm not a fan of that. What I am a fan of is I'm a fan of feeding my sheep, and they love the grass, and they don't care that it has weeds, and some of the weeds that it does have, they actually like. So we move our sheep around. Now I have a 4-acre field right there, okay? And we are setting it up to actually move sheep in on a routine basis and be able to segregate them and rotate them through the different areas. But until then, and even after then, we like to use grass to feed them, because they'll eat the grass. So what we use to maintain the separation and control of them is that we use electric fence. We like this mesh fence. This is from Premier One. And we use it to separate them out. We use them in the back of the paddock and behind the barn over there. And right now we have the boys over here. So that is Edward Thatch. Spelled Teach, but it's Edward Thatch. If you like pirates, you know who that is. He is a blackbelly, and they are from Barbados. He's a blackberry hair sheep, and so yeah, we named him after a pirate, since that breed is from Barbados. The other two over there are, let me get around here. The other two over here are Katahdin Dorper mix. So the brown one there is Digby, and the white one with the little horn nubs is Cookie Dough. Cookie Dough is the smallest of all of our sheep, and Digby is not cut. He's our ram. So he will be our breeding stud. He is a really good looking ram. He's very young. He's only about 6 months right now, and once he's full size and mature, he will make some really, really nice sheep. And that right, Thatch? Thatch is a withered, and so is Cookie Dough. We had them withered because we didn't want a whole bunch of rams, and we needed sheep to be with Digby. You can't just pull Digby when you don't want to make ewes and then shove them into a paddock area and say, here you go, be by yourself. They're not made for that. They're not okay with that. They need to have other animals around them. So right now we don't have a dog with them out here, but it's the front yard, so they're okay. And we do separate our dogs occasionally to put them in different pens. Isn't that right, buddy? But you can see we have an electric fence system, right? There's 300-foot pieces in here, and we're also using their solar panel system. So this is the larger of the two solar panel systems that we got. I forget which model this one is. This is the Intel Shock 100. If you don't believe that it shocks you, you can call my son-in-law up, who reached over one to pet Nia. She's our bottle baby lamb. And he'll let you know how it felt. So something about Jesus Christ and oh my God, and why didn't somebody tell me that this was hot, and look at the big red mark on my belly. Something like that. That's how it went. It was kind of funny, actually. Sorry. Relishing in someone else's pain. Isn't that right, buddy? Yeah. Anyway, here are the girls. And they're being very boisterous right now because Sarah's in the barn. And so they're all like, feed me grain. So we have No, 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 no. Don't touch that fence. Don't do it, Nia. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 ewes. The oldest is Chloe. She's the most boisterous, and she's also known as Big Fatty. And then we have Nova, and then we have Cece, which is cookies and cream. And then the 2 brown ones, one is cinnamon and one is nutmeg. And then this is Nia, which is short for Neapolitan, because she has both, she has Katahdin, Dorper, and Black Belly in her, so she's all 3 flavors. She was our bottle lamb. She is a man-dog sheep, so she prefers to be with men and women, and then she prefers to be with dogs, and then lastly, she'll pretend to be a sheep. But she is practically a pet. The dogs, so we have 2 Anatolian Shepherds, which are June and April. So June is the blonder, April is more black. April's the one that's walking towards me. She's the older one by a couple months. They were born in April and June last year. And then we got big white fluff ball there. She is a Great Pyrenees / Commodore mix. She's got a big Commodore face with all of the fluffiness of the Commodores. She's going to be huge. So the Anatolian Shepherds are a year old, and Sif is almost as big as they are. It's at 5.5, 6 months. She's gonna be a big girl. That's all right. Yeah, the coyotes just will not come to us. Isn't that right, Nia? Yeah, is that right? Anyway, so you can see we have the fence out here too, right? So we have 300 piece sections here, and then we have another charger that's right over there. Okay, it's a different charger. It's a little bit smaller. I'll walk around and show you. So if you need to take a couple of spools out of it, you can set it up like this and just kind of take that extra slack out of there if you need to, and then stabilize it. 7, stop, you're fine. Come on, 7. 7's 11-year-old mutt. He's been with us forever. He's a big baby. He whines a lot. So that's Nova. Nova's solid white. She's mostly Katahdin. She is by far the smartest of all of them out here. Yeah, maybe even smarter than dogs. Yeah. So they're getting excited because we're about ready to move them into the back. So this is the other charger that we're using. This one is the Solar Stop 80. Solar Stop 80. And it's on right now. And you can see every one of these animals wants to be pet and wants to be next to us and wants food. And none of them will touch that fence because they've all touched it, and they ain't gonna do it again if they don't have to. It's not pleasant. So it also keeps the bad animals out. Sif, don't knock them into the fence. That's mean. So now we're gonna move them, and then after that, we're gonna take this fence down and we're gonna move the fence. This area, they've been on it for what, 4 days now? Yeah. So they've been on it for 4 days. This needed to technically be mowed before we put them out here, and now you can see it does not need to be mowed at all. So we're gonna move them, take the pressure off of this area and let it grow back. We're gonna move them back over here on the other side of this, over this other side of the garden, a little bit closer to the boys. And then I'll show you some of the quirks of the fence and how to set it up and how to move it. It took us a long time to figure that out, and it was painful. And I really wish somebody would have pointed out a few things for us that they never did. And that's what this video is really about, is how to do that stuff. That and to show off our animals. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna shut this off. I'm gonna undo it, and then I'm just gonna let them shoot right back over there because they know that there's food back there. So the first thing I do is I shut it off, okay? Right there. I'll just undo the positive here. And I usually just clip it right here. Yeah, right there. So undo this. So I'll take this apart right here. Right, I'll pop that apart. Undo that. All I'm gonna do is pull this one, because this one's really small. I'm gonna pull this one and move it out of the way, and they'll just shoot right across. Come on. There you go. Sif, where are you going? Go on, get in the back. Get in the back.
Good girl.
Yep, that's it. You just leave it like that. So they've done this before, not their first time, clearly. Okay, here you go. We got grain in those buckets, and this is their afternoon grain feeding. And then we'll pull the buckets when they're done. And we use the grain as incentive to move them quite a bit. So the reason we do that is because Chloe, big fatty over there, is super food motivated. If you can't tell, she is a big girl. Hi, big girl. And at one time, she was actually 200 pounds overweight. She's a rescue animal that we brought in. You can see, look at her left side. This side over here, it's all fat and pudged out because she's been hitting it all day. Oh, hold on, yeah, hold on. Hi, here. There you go. Get your water. This is just water, so we're weaning her right now, but she still needs a little bit of help getting water during the day. Look at the tail. Oh my God. Yeah. I know, everybody thinks that's super cute. Oh, look at the tail. Wiggle, wiggle. Super happy. So our first kit was the 104212 Electro Stop. That's the part number on there, right? And that was with the smaller charger. And these are 104212. So these are 42 inches high. They have 10 strands up. And then the 12 is the size of the block, okay? They don't really tell you which ones have more posts. You have to read that in the description. What we found is these aren't too bad. These are actually not too bad to move. Over here, so this is the semi-permanent system, and the semi-permanent system it's a 114812, which means there's 11 strands instead of 10. It's 48, which is 6 inches taller, and 12-inch blocks. Okay. This one has really long stretches. See? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I have 12 blocks in there in between posts. And what's relevant about that, it's easier to move. The posts are a little bit longer, but they're easier to pick up because you don't have as many posts, but you do get more sag from the mesh as you're picking them up. I'm going to show you the technique that we have figured out works. We pretty much picked it up by watching the Sheridan Park Farms videos on how to really kind of maneuver these properly. It was a pain in the butt. There is one stretch that we have, this one right here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's 6 blocks, and then there's 2 halves. So where the posts are, and this piece right here is the worst, by far the worst to move. The longer poles are 48, and there's more poles with them. So I heard the snap. It's her dropping the stick. So this is really heavy because it's longer poles and more poles, and the mesh is a little bit easier to maneuver around. But I mean, Sarah can barely pick that one up. I have to do it. She can do it, but it's rough. I have a hard time and I struggle with it. These right here, way easier. We're gonna show you the technique that we use to pick these up and then move them and then put them back in place. It'll make your life a little bit easier. Okay, so the biggest problem with these is these hooks. Okay, so this is the double prong. I like the double prong, it makes them more stable, but it also makes them snag machines. So what I had to figure out was I have to pick these up. I have to hold it down here, okay? So I'm holding my spikes away from this. folding it over. I keep this spike end up, and I grab the next one and I bring it in, okay? So now you can see that it's meshes in the middle just holding out there, right? So I can do this and lay it down and pick it up if I need to, right? But I'm keeping the spikes vertical and away from all of the rest of the mesh. Just like this. Now you can see eventually I'm going to run out of hand because there's a lot of posts. So I'll put my hand through sometimes like that. So you can do this with the spikes standing up, okay? And you can pull them out and then put them in. We have a lot of clay here, and so they get stuck really hard. So it's easier to pull them out and then just pick them up off the ground. Like this. Biggest problem is stepping on it. Okay, so I'm getting a little deep here. There we go. Ah! As you can see, they're getting heavy. So the least amount of these poles, the better in my opinion. Once the animals are trained in shock, you don't need a million support poles. Kind of redundant after a while, and it just makes it harder for us to move them. Just like that. Okay, so I've got this. I moved it from my other spot over here. The first thing I want to determine is where I'm going to put my gate. If you just willy-nilly start this, your gates can end up in some weird area you don't want it to be, and then moving the sheep or the livestock in and out of it becomes a pain in the ass. So start with your gate, okay? So I'm gonna start here with my gate, and I'm just gonna lay them down. I'm not gonna try and stick them in the dirt. That way, if I have to move them, I can move them, okay? So I'm throwing it down, pulling it out. Throwing it down, pulling them out. And I'm trying to stretch it out as much as possible before I toss this next one to try and keep them hooked as untangled as possible. As soon as those hooks get tangled up, somebody else has to come in and save you. I do recommend that you do this 2 people. It does make life a lot easier. But if you're by yourself and you have to do it, which I have been and I've had to do it, knowing how to deal with this without making your life difficult is hugely advantageous. So this is my last one. So I want to make sure that that stays to the outside as I'm dropping these so I don't get them tangled up. Okay, so the next piece will go down here. We come back around up this side over here, and then we'll join them back up over there. And this will be the new area for them to eat. It is free lawn mowing. This needs to be cut down, and I would just as soon have them eat it instead of me out here on the lawnmower for 4 hours getting hay fever. We have all 3 of them out now. So you can see that's the first one. And then I started the second one. And then Sarah started over there at the gate and then came back through around here, and we got a little bit of a gap. Well, we know we want that one in place there. We know we want that one in place there. So the one that starts here and goes all the way around to here can be skimped, okay? So we can move that around and adjust it, shorten it down here if we want. So I'll put in this piece of fence first, tighten it down, put in this piece of fence, here, tighten it down, and then we'll start this end next to that, and Sarah will work one way, and I'll start this end and work this way, and we'll just stretch it out as far as we can from there, and it'll tell us how much we're allowed to actually push this back. And see these black poles? We put the black poles in between each section and tie them together. If any place is going to fail, it's going to be there. That's where an animal is going to get in. So we put some reinforcement in there and tie them together. This is how I set up my splices. I put them next to each other. I put the black support pole in the middle. I only use one tie at the top. Sometimes I'll do two. I haven't found that it's a problem. I've never had one come loose. I do redo them though, so I actually take them apart here the way that they come. It's just a basic loop knot. I actually do a square knot here. I trim them so that they're not as long, so I can get a couple of wraps and tie it down. And then I put the two connectors together like this, okay? And then I just slip them right here, just like that. We haven't had one come apart yet, and it holds charge really well. We know that this isn't touching anything it's not supposed to be, and we haven't had anything get in or out that we didn't want in or out. So I'll keep doing it that way. Well, this is our front yard. You can see the gate is up now, or the fencing is up. We have the gate established right there. You can see my ground rod. I painted it blaze orange. I got one out in the field somewhere, still need to find. It was not painted blaze orange. So learning the hard way. Anyway, we left a little walking spot in between these two so that you can get between them, so you can get to the garden, right? And there's plenty of space. They're not going to be able to get into the plants in the garden unless they go through the fence. We don't have any meth sheep, otherwise known as goats, so we're not overly concerned about that. The sheep will respect the fence a lot. Goats, like I said, they're on meth. Sometimes they don't respect anything. But this is free lawn mowing and free food all at the same time. I'm not skipping that. So we're moving the fence, we're chopping the yard, and we're making meat all at the same time.